This is a very fine clock made by Daniel Quare in about 1690. And it's a month-going clock, but 8-day clocks were obviously less expensive and much more common. So a month-going clock is a rarity in itself. But this is even more special in that it's got repeating quarter striking. So it strikes the hour normally, and then at night, if you want to know what the time is, you can pull the quarter repeat and it will then sound out the number of quarters as a peal of 3 bells. It would then strike the hour, so it would strike the 3rd quarter here, and so it would do the 3 peals of bells, and then it would strike 1. So it's 1:03 in the morning. The case itself is exceptionally fine. You've got marquetry all round the hood. You've got marquetry on these curved reveals. You've got marquetry on the front, you've got marquetry on the base, and then you've got the same on the sides. And to have marquetry on the side of a clock is very rare. So that it's a very, very fine, expensive example of its time. And then on the door, you've got the lenticle, and then the marquetry extends right down to the base here. So what a riot of marquetry, starting right at the very top here, going down the hood, round the moulding, all the way down the side, all the way down, and matching through to the base, matching to the door. It's absolutely a magnificent set of marquetry. I always think it's slightly sad that this marvellous marquetry has faded, and all the colours which must have been in the flowers and in the ornaments, they've all faded down because they were done in vegetable dyes, and of course they're not light stable. But it must have been a real riot of colour, a real statement. You must be able to see it across the room making this statement. Here I am, I'm a month-going clock, I'm expensive. So it's a very fine dial here, and in the top left-hand corner about on the 9 side, you've got a regulation for the pendulum, so that you can actually adjust with your key to keep it in time with the sundial. You've got your strike silent on the above the 3 side here, and that just clicks into place to stop the hour striking at night. The wonderful second hand going here, fine, beautiful hands with all these swirls in the minute and the hour hand, ringed winding holes, a little decoration around the center, engraved around the calendar here, and then separate castings for each side of the dials. Obviously each one of these is different, and so it had to have 3 different patterns to make them, as well as the fine cherubs in the corners here. It's really a very expensive, beautifully produced clock. And then right in the bottom here, signed across, is D. Quare, London, in beautiful script with flowing signature. Good thick plates, and they've also had the extension to mount the pivot point for the lever to lift the pendulum up and down. It's all cast in one big piece of metal, no expense spared, and then it's been cut away out of the big sheet, the excess brass to be melted down and used again. And then you've got the 4 bells here on the top and the pull repeat mechanism. So we'll see if we can get it to work. just gone 2:30. So you can see the rack on the end of the lever which lifts the pendulum behind up and down. And you've got this pinion, so that the pinion is quite big, the rack is quite coarse, and so the whole system is fairly difficult to do. But I'll just demonstrate how it goes up and down, lifting the pendulum up and then dropping it back down again. But in your adjustments, you're going to be doing just little movements like this, tiny little movements, to try and get the last accuracy into the pendulum. But it is a fairly crude, imprecise system, just because of the size of the rack and the size of the pinion, so that a small movement moves quite a long way on the pendulum, whereas the nut underneath the pendulum bob, it's far more sensitive because it's moving it a small distance, and normally that's what you need. They look great, but they are quite difficult to use, these dials, because of a small movement creates a big change. It's an interesting layout of the going train in that you can just see the barrel with the winds of the gut on it, and then the train goes backwards and forwards across the clock, so that the escapement is quite near to the level of the barrel, whereas most escapements go up and down. This one goes across to make room for the hour striking on the 9 side, and then the quarter repeat on the 3 side. So the poor escapement and all the mechanism of the going train is all squeezed horizontally across in that area of the clock. You can see the escapement is a lovely recoil, traditional anchor with the recoil you can see on the escape wheel from each tick of the pendulum.